Okay, so today we're going to be looking at how to graph an equation when it's in standard form. Now, we've looked at graphing before with graphing equations that are in vertex form, and these can be just as easy once you get the hang of it. Now, we're going to follow these 5 steps to get a complete graph. The first step is going to be to find the vertex. Remember, the vertex is the point H and K, and remember, to find H, we use the opposite of B divided by 2A to get us started. Then we're going to find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, remember that's where x is 0 and y is your y-intercept when x is 0. And then we're going to find one other coordinate. Now, so with graphing these, we only need one other coordinate to be able to get a good graph. Some situations, maybe just having the y-intercept and the vertex will be enough. But to always get a better idea of what the graph looks like, it's always best to have 5 points. Because once we know the vertex, the y-intercept, and another coordinate, if we reflect the y-intercept and the other coordinate over the line of symmetry, we're going to get our shape of our parabola. So let's follow these steps here. So again, the first step is to identify the vertex. The vertex, again, is the opposite of b over 2a. In this case, b is a negative 2. So the opposite of that is a positive 2. A in this case is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. So we get 1, so the x part of our vertex is 1. To find the y part of our vertex, I'm going to put 1 in my equation. So it's going to be 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 5. Well, 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 minus 5. Well, 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. So my vertex is at the point 1, negative 6. Okay, next I'm going to find, if I look at step 2, my next step is to find the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept, like I said, is where x is 0 and y is some number. Well, this is really easy because if you put 0 in the equation for x to find out what y is, if I put 0 in there, I get negative 5 as my answer. So 0, negative 5 is my y-intercept. Now I just have to pick one other point. So I'm going to pick negative, because remember, here's my line of symmetry. It goes through the vertex. So I just need one other point. So I'm going to use negative 1. So for part C, I'm going to put negative 1 in my equation. And when I do that, negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 times negative 1, well, that's a positive 2, and then minus 5. Well, 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So when I put, I guess I didn't need this spot here for C, but we'll just put the other point here. So when I put negative 1 in there for x, I get negative 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 5 is negative 2 for y. So negative 1, negative 2 would be right here. Now I'm going to reflect these points. So this point here that I just graphed, I'm going to reflect that. So it's 2 points to the right of the line of symmetry. This one here, that's 1 unit to the left of the line. I'm going to reflect that. So it's 1 unit to the right of that line of symmetry. And now I just connect these, and I have my parabola. Okay, let's try another one together. This one here, again, our first step is to figure out what our vertex is. So we take the opposite of b divided by 2a. So the opposite of b is a negative 2. A is a negative 1, so 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So again, we get where x is 1 is our vertex. So now to figure out what our y value is for our vertex, I'm going to put 1 in for x. Now, the negative is not getting squared, only the x's. So when I do this first term, I would take just the 1 squared. That's why I put this in parentheses. So 1 squared is 1. Now I make it a negative, so this is negative 1. And 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3. Well, negative 1 plus 2 is 1, plus 3 gives me 4. So my vertex is a point 1, 4. So now I'm going to look to see what my y-intercept is. by putting 0 in here for x, well, if you put 0 in there for x, I get a positive 3. So 0.03 would be my y-intercept. Again, my vertex, my line of symmetry goes through my vertex there. So I'm going to pick another point for x, like -1. So when I put -1 in there, it's going to be a negative, or the opposite of -1 squared, plus 2 times -1, plus 3. -1, when you square it, that's a positive 1. Make that a negative. So that would be a -1. And we can say 2 times -1 is -2, plus 3. Well, -1 plus -2 is -3. And -3 plus 3 is 0. So I have the point, -1, 0. Now I'm going to do my reflecting. Reflect this point here that I just did in red is 2 units to the left of the line, so I'm going to reflect 1, so there's 2 units to the right of the line. Reflect the other point there, that's purple, 1 unit to the left, so I reflect it, so it's 1 unit to the right. Connect these with the line, and you have your parabola. There's your answer for 2. Now I want you to follow these steps to do number 3 here. And so I want you to pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, let's see how we did here. So again, your first step is to find your vertex. So it's going to be the first part is going to be the opposite of b. This time b is a -6, so the opposite of that would have been a +6. A is a -1, so I would take 2 times -1, well that's -2. So this time I have a value for h. My x value for my vertex is -3. So now to find the y value, I'm going to put -3 in there for x. So it's going to be the opposite of -3 squared minus 6 times -3 minus 8. Well, -3 when you square it becomes a +9, but that negative makes that a -9. -6 times -3, well that's a +18, then a minus 8. -9 plus 18 is 9, and 9 minus 8 is 1. So -3, +1 is your vertex. So let's draw your line of symmetry so we don't forget about that. I don't need it there. Okay, so now we're going to find our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, remember, is where x is 0 and y is some number. So when I put 0 there for x, I get -8 for y. So now I just need one other number. So I can pick either number -2 or -1. So I just need one other point to graph here. So let's just do -2. So -2, when I put that in here, it's going to be the opposite of -2 squared minus 6 times -2 minus 8. -2, when you square that, becomes a +4. The negative makes it a -4. -6 times -2 makes that a +12, and then minus 8. -4 plus 12 is 8, and 8 minus 8 is 0. So when x is -2, y is 0. I'm going to reflect that to be 1 unit to the left of the line. This one down here, my y-intercept, is 3 units from that line of symmetry. So I'm going to reflect it so it's 3 units to the left of the line of symmetry. Oops. Good enough. And there'd be your parabola. So hopefully you can see how easy it is to graph when we have an equation written in standard form. The trickiest part is just finding the vertex, but once you get beyond that, it's pretty easy. So with that, good luck on your assignment.